Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the NRG series here, where we're in Elmshurst bringing you a 10K Modern Trios Showdown event. And what is the difference between a showdown and one of our normal events? Well, this is going to get you to the end of year leader championships. You're going to get you on the board. We're going to get you all the prizes, the money, the photo invites. But we need to see who's going to be on it. Where are we standings right now? Let's get that on and let's have a little look. Before we get down to our round 2 feature match, these are the teams that we are following this weekend. And it looks pretty even across the board. Some won, some lost, some draws. Talk me through it, Mason.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see here, the teams of William, Van Til, Konigan, and Walligor all won their first round. Then we have the Shame Klauchkicks team in the draw. People on Twitter always talk about wanting to have a Shame board and how we have it now. And then, unfortunately, with the team of Ellenbogen, Hayes, and Knopp, all 0-1. And this team of Theo Jung, Daniel Weiss, and Andrew Ellenbogen, one of the teams I had my eye on to win the whole thing this weekend. They are dominant here, all of them on the NRG series. An 0-1 start doesn't mean they're out by any means, but uncharacteristic and something we might see a hero's journey. And speaking of a hero's journey, it looks like our players in the feature match area are ready to go on to their round 2.
Is there a card called Hero's Journey? I believe. I'm pretty sure there's a card called Hero's Journey or something along those lines.
There should be. If there's not, that's an easy one on the Universes Beyond. You make it a pump spell, maybe a flicker situation. That's a free roll.
How about free rolls? We've got Amulet Titan versus Simic Ritual. Titan on the play, starting off with Forest into the namesake card of the deck. Amulet into a Spelunking, everyone's Batman's favorite activity. How would you like this start on turn 2?
This is good. I also checked it. No Hero's Journey card. So there you go, which is a good one. But yeah, this is a powerful start. Now, Amulet of Vigors, they compound in multiples, right? So you get 4 mana from a bounce. Spelunking and Amulet do not work that way. So this is not a situation where Daniel has access to 4 mana off a bounce land. He has 2 different ways to get his lands untapped. And notably, sometimes you want to use Spelunking as a replacement effect. So there's no trigger on the stack. Sometimes you want to use Amulet to actually get the untap. Typically, when you have more Amulets, you want to do that one. So this is strong and, is good against a piece of interaction, having multiples here. But it's not, like the end of the world, like a double Amulet draw would be something that we'd be talking about how this game's almost over already.
So when you say about the interaction, so over on this Simic Ritual deck, this is not, I know a lot about Modern. I know that this is a deck. I haven't played this deck, though, so I'm not particularly familiar with it. I know Birthing Ritual because I am a Yawgmoth player. But what interaction do I have, especially into this matchup of Amulet Titan?
So the reason to play Birthing Ritual, in my opinion, is you are really good into combo decks. You're a main deck, 3 or 4 Subtlety depending on your build, 4 Flare of Denial, some number of Force Negations. We're rocking 2 here today for Charlie in the main deck. So this deck is really, really good into things like, Belcher, Storm, Titan, even if you can draw your Subtleties and your Flares and kind of get them down. And then you're kind of using Birthing Ritual to chain value together. And then, get cards like Abhorrent Oculus snuck into play. And that's kind of the whole joke with the deck. You're just interacting and then chip-shotting your opponent. And this is actually, you talk about Birthing Ritual. When working on Birthing Ritual, this is sort of where I thought it was going to have its best use. Not in Yawgmoth, but in like some sort of blue-green or Bant interactive deck. And it was one of those moments where it's like, I guess I was wrong. But, time has shown it's actually pretty good. As here comes the the Titan from the deck in his name. And I think it's going to get flared.
Yeah, but I say Ice Fang Nakotl in response to get the blue creature into flare. Okay, sign me up. Sign me up. That was card neutral as well.
Yeah, exactly. Ice Fang Nakotl, a great role player in this deck. You even see Coiling Oracle. You'll notice if you take a look, Will, that Fibblethip the Lost is even in our deck. That's the one card I can't get behind, but maybe it'll be great this game. As you do see here, boom, Shardless Agent is so good at finding our namesake card or just cantrips in this deck.
All right, so we're going to have a little look at is it top 7? I can't remember what
it is top 7. Yep.
It's been a while since I think I played this last year at a Magic Con when I was last time I played this card. But we are going to see the Rip, which is literally one of my favorite cards. I really want to build this card in Legacy. I feel like it's got a home with Reanimate and what's the 1 mana black summon free CMC 3 or less, return it from the graveyard to play cycle 2. Unearth. I feel like there's a deck there somewhere, but it's just not as good as what the crazy things that you can do in that format. But anyway, back to Modern, where we're doing more crazy things, and this is going to give us another option of another out. Which again, not being a seasoned Titan player, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I know someone do Aftermath Analyst, a couple of Lotus Fields, and a couple of untap effects, and we can go crazy.
Yeah, I'll help you out with that. Don't worry, Will, when the time comes. But the too long didn't read is with Shifting Woodlands and Aftermath Analyst, you can often create infinite situations with Lotus Field, like you said, because you'll sack certain lands, bring this all back, do it again, and go up mana on each iteration, and then simply do something like this, right? T-West transmute for a Pact, suddenly, boom, you have a kill. We'll get to that when sort of the time comes, but that's the TikTok version for those at home.
I have when it comes to it, I have a question about that and the different sort of interaction we can have at different at a point, and does it stop? And if it does stop, why would it stop, etc. But we'll come to that when we come to it. Over on the other side, back to the ritual deck, we're going to start off with 5 points damage, and it's going to connect. We do have the option to block it with the Graze if we wanted to. It does have the keyword reach on it if it needs be, but taking that 5 points damage, that's not going to worry down too much here. Going to drop down to 15. Now, how else are we going to rebuild for the turn? I guess we just want to get some of these cheap cards that replace themselves on the board, so then we can start getting our ritual into some potentially more Oculuses moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. You want to kind of like chain. I mean, this deck's a lot like Delver now, right? We've set up our big flying threat, and now it's a matter of taking over. We're going to see Shardless Agent. Yep, Cascades just into an Ice Fang Coatl here, moves through the deck. But yeah, you're just going to kind of hold up the counter spell for the rest of the game and work towards winning from this point. One thing to note too is, we talked about Charlie's deck as kind of the anti-combo deck, and when talking about it, I mentioned a bunch of cards that were really good versus Titan. Well, Endurance is in the deck, and when you look at those Analyst loops like you're talking about, that is something that we also have a 4 of in our main deck. So there's a lot of potential, problems here this Titan deck has to work through.
Endurance is going to be the card that I found, I believe. I think that's Endurance.
I think it's a Subtlety, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, no graveyards being shuffled, so yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that is a Subtlety.
Yeah. It also plays Harbinger of the Tides or Harbinger of the Seas. That turns all the lands into islands. That's something that we can be found here. So there's a lot of pressure on a lot of different angles here for Daniel. This is definitely a Secret Lair version of a card that's blue. Oh, that's Fibblethip.
Oh, is it?
It's Fibblethip the Lost. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, there's no other mono blue creature, right, besides the Harbinger and Subtlety, and we sacked
there's an oracle on the board on our screen, so I'm going to guess that productions. That's exactly what it is. It's a Coiling Oracle alternate art.
Blue? What the heck?
What? I don't know. Maybe that is too. It's really not helping us. The Secret Lair stuff, by the way.
Yeah, maybe that is Coiling Oracle. It looks very blue to us, but maybe it is blue-green. Either way, that's what our little camera feed looks like. A little note for the people on the inside: we don't have perfect colors from our end when it comes to doing things.
We're packed in. We're going to get a Titan. Titan is going to.
So we flare denialed again. It looks like.
Oh, okay, that's where we're missing. So
yeah, and so yeah, now with the Pact resolving, right, that's going to create some issues here for Daniel. He's going to have to pay for that Pact with all this like pressure coming down.
No,
as here comes Harbinger of the Season. You can't pay the Pact's cost. And you see Charlie just hand motion combat, I guess. I'll hit you just in case you have Dismember in your hand. Because if you don't, you are in huge trouble.
Oh, snap. So all non-basics are now islands. Remember, Summoners Pact needs to pay double green, 2 colors in the upkeep to not lose the game. There is a downside to that card, believe it or not, even though you can't miss that trigger anymore. But we're going to go through the motions again. Top 7. Have a look. Can we turn anything into anything else? That is the Fibblethip.
Fibblethip. Draw 2.
Value. I always like it when people cosplay as this character. That's one of my favorite things.
Those are good cosplays.
Pass the turn.
Pay for your Pact, Buddy-ola.
Can't do it. That's really stupid up. Maybe Daniel didn't know. Maybe it was like, Daniel, sure, I'll just pay the. Oh no, that's not how that works. So, well, we're going to see the Cynic Ritual deck take down at game number 1. But because this is team trios, we can jump across to another table. So we're going to jump across to standard, where I believe we have got the namesake deck in the format right now, which is going to be the blue-red Vivian decks. And looking at, we've got cauldrons on the board here. We've got some memories, +1 counters are floating around. I think we're just doing our thing right now.
Yeah, we are just vibing right now, kind of going off. And this is what this deck does. It just goes and goes and goes.
Do you think that this deck's going to be viable in Pioneer?
I've played some of it on Arena. Your Phoenix matchup is surprisingly tough because they have a lot of interaction. I'm not saying I built my deck perfectly, but it was powerful. I felt like I was doing something that was good, and like if I had spent some time to like, innovate a little bit and like look through all the card pool instead of just playing the obvious ones, that maybe my deck could have had some serious legs instead of some just good legs. So I think this would be good. And I would love to see more Pioneer.
Chat's making the joke. What's a Pioneer?
Yeah.
What's that? Did you talk of?
It's kind of like a for fun format, like Pauper.
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. I do hope that we start seeing a lot more of that when we move into 2026. But past the turn back, so we're going to have a 3-3, but on the other side, we've just got everything that we need. That Cauldron's on the board. We're going to see a Riddler hard cast here. It's going to draw 2 cards because we've only got 1 in hand. So that's 2. That's why you see the dice on the Prophet's Memory there. So when we go to the combat, we can put 2 counters, +1/+1 counters on a creature. But first, we're going to draw a few more. Why not? Draw 3, discard 2, unless 1 is a creature card, I believe. But it looks like we're going to get rid of 2 land. More importantly, it's another 5 +1/+1 counters that can get added this turn now.
Winter Story's really great add to this deck, especially that harmonized ability, not requiring Summoning Sickness or anything.
Now, this is what, like, really, this card, every time I see it and every time I play with it into the Floodmoor, this card's really good. Like in the decks it's in, it's just that bit of tempo, that swing, stop that 1 key turn. And this isn't just standard I'm talking about. Like we see it in Belcher in Modern as well. Oh, you brought in your hate piece, bounce it back to your hand, untap, Belcher, win. Like it's really cool that this card's seeing enough play. It was kind of a sleeper for a long time until we started seeing it in these very decks, and now then exploring into a few of the other formats. As I think Modern is now they're drawing it in the hands. So let's move back across to Modern.
I think it speaks to what Into the Floodmaw is really good at, which is like being an efficient way when your deck can end really quickly, right? So like Belcher plays it because they kill you suddenly. VV kind of just kills you, right? Also, when there's a lot of problematic things. So it makes a lot of sense to me when we were playing like lower powered or games that were going longer and you couldn't close that immediately, that Into the Floodmaw wasn't seeing a ton of play. But now that's not the case. In Modern, we're belching each other. We're sort of, killing each other with VV with 1 billion mana, as we have a slow start here for both decks.
Like I say, we're going to be on the play again on Daniel's side. Amulet Titan down a game, but we're going to start our ramping off. This is going to be an explore, so we get to draw a card, play an additional land for the turn, and that land is going to be a Lotus Field. Now, when we go off with Lotus Field, obviously there's a trigger that happens that I can consign. At what point should I be consigning to stop that crazy infinite combo thing? Or is that even a thing I can do? Because people said to me, oh, you can consign it. And I'm like, I don't know which point I'm going to consign at.
Yeah, it depends on the state, right? Like that's one of the hard parts of Amulet is you need to kind of understand all the implications. Sometimes consign won't be good enough. Other times they do need to sack the lands to keep bringing them back with Analysts. So the too long didn't read version is a lot of the times if they're starting off from a low base, consigning can be a really good way to stop it there. But if they have a lot of resources, it probably won't be enough.
Well, we're going to go Sun Zenith here. A card, of course, not recently unbanned, one of the more recent ones that have been unbanned into the format for free. But that's going to pick up a Flare of the Nile, which was MH3 too?
Yep, MH3. Yep, 3? That was the free Flare cycle there.
It's been a while. It's been, in fact, it feels like they've been around for a while. Let's put it that way. And then
we're going to get Harbinger. I love this play here from Dustinberg. Really tight, sort of just like Green Sun Zenith, not a card that you have to answer there, but if you have a Harbinger of the Seas backing it up, this could be really good. No force negation there to protect the Harbinger, so we are going to unlock the mana, but potentially could have been game ending here.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was a top decks Dismember after the Harbinger came down. So sometimes, it pans out. We had a line, we went with it, and they had to have the answer. They've got it. We're still playing the game.
Put the good ones in your deck to draw them. That's my professional advice to you.
I need all the help I can get on that one. And of course, because Harbinger is a creature, we've got, we're used to Blood Moon effects and how that kind of dominated Modern for a little while. There's always been something that sits underlying. We see it a lot in Legacy. But now that they're attached to a creature, we had the Magus. We're like, oh, great. At least I can answer it with my Lightning Bolts. When you go Harbinger, you're like, I can't Lightning Bolt anymore. I can't have this instant move. Into the Floodmoor, weirdly, would actually be a great answer to get it off the board. This moment is going to be drawn on the other side. We're going to go fetch this Misty, go find ourselves an island or a forest, maybe even a Surveil.
Yeah, and that you mentioned there too, like that is such a huge strength of this Harbinger card and why it's like so much more main deckable, I believe. In combination with like the Flare, the Force, and the Subtlety too, all being things that need blue creatures. So you play against a matchup where it doesn't matter. You can always just kind of pitch it to that. But it being harder to answer with the land side turns everything into is like a serious, PowerPoints. As I'm putting down again, leaving up a forest. Don't know if that's just because we need the blue lands to play it, or
we did have the option there at that point to fetch up an island, but if we're going to turn all our future land drops into islands, then it makes sense getting the forest here. Do we have an answer on the other side? Doesn't look like it. I think that's just a bunch of land and another explore, but now we can't cast any of our spells. I'm looking what we've got in the deck.
So this is, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. So also the Harbinger of the Seas interaction with the Urza Saga, just to update people really quick, because we haven't had a ton of coverage in ours. It no longer goes away. There's been a rules update. It sort of just stays at its first place or wherever it is. So you can, if you play one and it's on 2, they can just make constructs for the rest of the game. The Titan deck is very good, and it is probably the deck that everyone thinks is the most broken in Modern, and it is incredibly strong. I do think a lot of players have been bringing kind of like, not to be rude, but like C+ cards to fight Titan. Harbinger of the Seas is like, an A card. You know what I mean? Like, this is a card that actually stops this deck. Ashiok, a card that actually stops this deck when they get going. Titan can fight through all of them, don't get me wrong. But it is something that's like, I feel like there have been a lot of people who've been trying to play like White Orchid Phantom, and they're like, oh, this should stop Titan. And it's like, no, blowing up one land and giving them a basic is not stopping Titan. This deck is much, much stronger than that.
Well, here comes the ritual. I'm looking at the deck list. This Titan list is playing 3 dismembers. That is the only way, unless we can fire Spout, but we won't have the mana for that. So I think it's just down to the last 2 dismembers, because of course one's already been fired off.
Yeah, and it looks like another Harbinger of the Seas. We've upgraded our Oracle. That's huge. You mentioned we have these dismembers. We also have Odawara, I think, in the deck. Obviously not a great answer, but end of turn, Odawara you, untap, kill you is a viable-ish line.
Ooh, a Vexing Bauble. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana is spent to cast it, counter that spell, pay 1, sacrifice it, draw a card. Nice little saga target there. We're going to stop it straight away. Get in again for 4 points. It's going to jump down to, I think, 12. Yep, there we go. We're updated. And then follow-up is going to be an Oculus. Now this is really going to start applying the pressure. 6 cards that gets delved away. Just can't remember what it is. 6 cards. 6 cards get delved away, and then of course, in each opposing upkeep, we get to look at the top 2. Manifest Dread. I like. Is that Manifest Dreads? They're the ones that get the Ward 2, correct?
No, those are the spies or whatever from MKM. The suspects or whatever. Yeah, Manifest Dread is just the 2/2s from Murder Karlov Manor. Or not Murder, excuse me. That's the other one. The House of Horrors. But
I liked that sealed format.
Yeah, really fun sealed format. Oh, Endurance is one of the cards. We can upgrade that into a 3/4 later. That could be very helpful.
Now you get to draw. Just to draw the card, fist bump. Yep, I can't get through this. You've got double way of turning everything into islands. So we are going to see Chai take this down in the modern seat, which means we can flick across to standard again, because it looks like the other 2 seats are both 1 apiece. Oh, this looks like they've gone to game 3. Or was that game 1 that we jumped into last time?
That was game 1. Sometimes these games can be very fast. Sometimes they can be very long. Not because players are slow or anything. It's just sometimes you have 30, 40 mana on a turn. And it just takes a bit here. Looks like a couple lands in hand for Kamari along with Profs. It looks like Multiversal Passageway coming down here. Untapped. Nothing to do. Just, pay 2 life. No reason.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
It's the awkward thing about secreting your shock lands and stuff in modern. Like, I'm not holding up this counter spell. I'm not holding up any
into the what?
Exactly. What are you talking about?
Thunder Magic here from Harrison, by the way. Nice little piece of tech.
I was about to say, what sort of cards break or play better into the mirror? Let's say they're both going to have good cards moving after sideboard, but what cards are really going to stand out and kind of give them that little bit of extra advantage?
I mean, Abrade is a great way, obviously, to fight over Agatha's Soul Cauldron here. And the Flood Maw is a great way where you invest heavily in something in order to get rid of it momentarily, but not permanently. You see here, Agatha's, even without VVs in the deck, fighting over One Night Stories is actually so huge. One Night Stories is one of the ways that these players can get sort of these huge advantages when it comes to like discarding these dead cards like lands, etc. And also just, when you start top decking, when you're 1-for-1 with each other a lot, that's going to really matter. The sideboard stuff, I mean, there are cards that are good, but there's something that's like, oh no, I have to, this comes down, the game is like over. These decks are very, very strong.
So what you're saying is we should sit back and be in for potentially a long one here, as we're going to see cauldrons going back and forth, fighting over any key cards that are in there. If anything, does this mean that the cauldrons are kind of negating each other here? Like, you can't really utilize them to good value.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you ever played Deathrite Shaman Mirrors, whoever goes first kind of loses, right? Because if I target, then you target in response. So what you're going to see is eating at the end of your opponent's turn, right? That way, if they want to stop it, they have to lower the shields on your turn. And we're probably not going to see these players put the VVs into their graveyards willingly. I know some people even go lower on VVs post board because of this dynamic, right? They don't want to get got. And it can be a little hard to invest into the VVs.
Here comes the fear of missing out. Nice little 2/3 that has the TB effect. Discard a card, draw a card, and then if we ever get to Delirium, we'll talk about that later on. We're going to discard the multiverse. We're going to draw a card. I really need to pick up some of these multiverses. Do you know they are on them? Every single one I've seen looks great.
Yeah, I like the kind of the entire Spider-Man group joining together to make it happen. The other one's nice too. It's just kind of like I have the spiraling normally art one. Thunder Magic here, though, this is a way to sort of, answer these larger creatures. It's a shock that scales up. You have to commit a lot of mana into it to make it scale up, but that's not the end of the world. As we see Harrison here, discarding Quantum Riddler to that fear of missing out. A big sign in my hand is nice.
I'll say that, yeah, it's an interesting one, especially when we're down to only 3 cards in hand. We're getting towards that mid to late game now where the Riddlers are going to start really, or potentially even turning the corner for either of these two players, being able to restock that hand every turn as 5 mana has been tapped, and we're going to play our own Riddler on the other side. 3 cards in hand, so it will only be 1 card. So, yep, sure, that's fine. I think we found a land off the top, 1 mana open.
Yeah, if you're Kamari in this spot, you have to know your opponent has some form of interaction, right? They're just not discarding this Riddler. They would at least warp it, right? So there's something that Harrison wants to have up in this regard and wanted to get on the board. And yeah, this Abrade is something that makes a ton of sense in that regard.
So this is going to force the fight. So we're going to tap our cauldrons at the Riddler. In response, I'll use my cauldron on the Riddler, so I get the +1/+1 counter. So that Riddler would be underneath the cauldron if it had any sort of crazy effects, but it doesn't. And then end of turn, we're going to bounce back the Riddler to the grip. Nicely done there. Draw for the turn. That's another island. That Riddler's starting to look really good now if we had it still.
Yeah, I think there is a second one in Harrison's hand that maybe, was like the thing that made us feel like we should be discarding this Riddler. But yeah, you see we're warping this one in, getting 2 cards here. Nothing too crazy at the moment. Looks like Fear of Missing Out and Winter Night Stories along with a land.
How if we play the land here and then play the... Oh, in fact, we can play the Missing Out, discard the land, then we draw 2 because we've got 1, so we draw...
Yep.
Yes. Nice. Okay.
So yeah, we're going to discard the story so that we can harmonize with the Riddler.
I like it. I like everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, I wonder how strong Riddler plus Winter Night Stories is without, VV. It seems pretty good to me with profs just in a standard, right? Like, obviously, it's kind of facilitating this very strong engine at the moment. But I wonder, this is one of those things that's like, okay, post BNR, let's say just VV gets got. Is this like an engine we can actually keep playing? Because it always seems very good, like you were mentioning earlier.
All right, rules question, because let's be honest, I got to ask the questions. If we played a land there and then we went to draw 3 cards with only 1 in our hand, would the first card we draw be 2? So would we end up drawing 4 then?
We draw 4, yeah.
Ooh, okay. Is there a reason we didn't do that, or is that just?
I think that maybe there were 3 cards in hand, not the full, because we cast the Harmonize from the graveyard, right? And we had 3 cards in hand because of Riddler. So I think they were just flicking the cards very quickly, so we couldn't quite see.
It was from the graveyard. That's why I missed it. I thought, okay, we had 2 in hand, and then we got you. But
that interaction would work. Yes, it works that same way with Faithful Mending and Modern, the Glorious Vengeance deck. You draw 3, discard 2. So, and if you have multiple Riddlers, it scales up by 1 with each Riddler. So very strong card.
If I had a Riddler and a Gristlebrand,
draw 8 cards.
Boom, value.
Yeah, now you're up on each life spent so that your profs then gains you extra when you attack the Orizzle Brand, which is what you needed.
Here comes another Riddler on the other side. Seems like a pretty good card. I want to do a little bit of that action that you were doing. I think the
You see an
triggers on
Obliterating
the
Bolt in
stack.
hand for Kamari. This could be a great way to sort of maybe start stabilizing a bit. You don't want this fear of missing out to grow as multiple combat steps, are going to be in our future.
Well, we've got creature, land, artifact, and instant in the bin, so the delirium is turned on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Got our own
And we saw
fear
this, right?
missing
Like in the early games, both players were kind of posturing, trying to stop each other. Kamari went shields down to kind of, it was like, hey, I don't really have enough right now, which was true. There's something Kamari could have really represented, but, played the Mako, and that gave Harrison the moment to kind of, go off, quote unquote. And we're seeing Kamari actually answer the slightly smaller fear of missing out, maybe thinking about attacking this turn.
So then we're going to play the Riddler. Draw another card.
And you see Kamari really valuing into the flow there. Will could have fired it off on the Mako with the fear or something in order to draw 2 extra cards with the Quantum Riddlers, but knows you need to have it for the exact right moment here and can really be a blowout.
And we're going to move the account. So we've got a pair. We got 2 free powered creatures now on the board. Remember, life totals still are relevant in this matchup. We think that the game's going to be over quite quickly, but if we can just nickel and dime these first few turns and get the life totals low, potentially that's another out for us because we need to pick up the W if you were over on Bolger's side here. That's going to be. Oh, I thought that was going to be a stock up. Then that's not a stock up. That's the
Team Core Scholar.
That's the one, the Scholar.
Yep.
Great card, by the way. I played a little bit of that standard living end deck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fun deck. That's a fun deck. Not with cauldrons in the format floating around all the time, but that deck's pretty fun. I think that might be what we see if there was potentially any bans in the future of this format that we call standard.
Yeah, that is a deck that I kind of have my eye on of like, what does that one look like, post BNR? The decks that really jump out to me are kind of that one. Honestly, VV, if it's just VV, like, is the Profs package good enough? I actually had someone local to me last year kind of play Profs and Grixis cards. So it's basically, honestly, this deck. Just they didn't have VV at the point of release. And it was pretty good. And it was like, okay, now that we've like worked on this deck, we have Quantum Riddler, right? That one really jumps out to me. And then Mono Red, the Menace, the Boogeyman, just a all-in machine. I'll, of course, play Unplayable Blue-White Control Will, because I own those cards. But, what will other people do?
that's half the battle, right? You got to own the card.
Yeah.
Double Scholar is going to come down here. So we're going to draw a bunch of cards, which is why you see all these counters getting added to these creatures here, because every time we discard a card, we get to add a +1 counter to it. Then we're going to turn it sideways. It is a 5/5. This is, again, for a 1-mana threat in these decks, it just goes with the game plan. Like, the game plan is to just draw cards, discard cards, being able to now get a bigger threat. It's going to have the counters in there. So if we do have the Vivi later on, we can start using it that way. So many different synergies. And I think that's why we're seeing this as, I think it's safe to say, the best deck in the format.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say. Yeah.
You think the numbers hold out on that?
61% against the field. From everything that we can tell from Wizards, talking to us about BNRs, that's extreme. Now, that was just one spotlight event. Maybe it's worse against others. Maybe it's better other places. Who knows? So we're going to see these 2 discarded.
We like to call this deck even a deck Will can win with deck. Like, even I could win with this deck.
Honestly, that was a huge level up moment for me as we're going to see this Winter Night Stories get flashback of like when a deck was so frustrating and I feel like my opponent's playing like not great and still beating me, that I should play the deck, right? It's like, well, if you're throwing away all this value and I can't come close to beating you, imagine if I didn't throw away all this value, right? And that mono green Devotion and Pioneer is that the breaking point for me where I kept trying to beat it and I would just lose these games. I'd be like, you missed 20 mana, and I would just feel like lose my mind. And I was like, what? I'll do it. And then just immediately won a 10K the moment I switched over to the deck and was I should do this more often. Yeah.
Looking at the bottom there over in series, looks like Jess was able to take down game number 2. So that's going to level it up down there, going into game 3. Who's going to be able to have the outcome of this? Vivi. Obviously, if it's going to be Bolger, then we're going to be going to game 3 here. If not, if it's going to be Harrison, then it will come down to that sealed game. 6 rounds of Swiss for you all here today. We're in round number 2, and then we get to that top 8, which will have a draft in it as well. Which I think, are we streaming the draft?
That is a question I was literally DMing to production right now. I know that in the past we talked about trying to make it happen. I'm not sure if we are going to do it today. We will find out and let you know next. My guess is that we will. We are not today. Great. Coverage That is the key to comedy, is timing there.
Very good timing. Very good timing.
Mhm.
Last time I streamed my own draft in a live paper event. I'm never doing it again. Everyone just, because I'm not, let's be honest, it's not my best format. Everyone's just like, what were you doing? Your picks were so wrong so often. I was like, I'm sorry, I suck. I know, it's fine. But back to this Vivi and Mirror. Also, do you know it? I imagine you know Vivi as a
Mhm.
character for Final Fantasy.
I've learned of Vivi since they become prolific in Magic. Yeah,
What, explain to me.
they're like not like a side character, but they're like a homie, like a little wizard. Speaking of a homie, it looks like Harrison might be doing a good one for the homies here. This looks close to lethal to me,
Ooh.
if not actually lethal.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But we got the answer. That's still lethal, right?
It does look like, yeah, it looks like exact lethal for Kamari. Now Kamari is saying,
Oh,
oh,
yep.
I see. Both players were saying like that isn't lethal, but there's the cauldron. Our life totals might have been a little off. So congratulations there to Harrison. We saw too, this matchup, there's a lot of play to it, and sometimes the games are just unbelievably crazy. But that game, that was just, is it mid-range against each other? So
Yeah.
cool one to see.
I say it gets a bit stick, but like those games where we're not doing the Vivi crazy game plan, like that was actually quite back and forth. You know, we're doing the same thing, but trying to increment those small bits of value where we can was really key. But you know what is key is going to be game number 3, because we're playing team trios. So we will move across to the sealed players here, where of course it is going to be Spider-Man draft. And if you're not used to the team trios and how this works, you'll see at the bottom of our screen here, we've got a standard deck, we've got a modern deck, and we've got a sealed deck, and I'm playing with my 2 friends. And the name of the game is 2 of the 3 of you need to win your game. It is best out of 3 on both tables, or on all 3 tables. So it does come down to this. And as we're in game 3, is the last match. It is going to see who takes us down and advances their team to a 2-0 record.
Yeah, Jess Williams here on your left. They've been having a great year. I remember first commentating them with the blue-black mid-range deck earlier in the summer, I want to say, in Standard, and has just been on a tear. You know, they talked about how they were almost going to play a different deck, but decided to play the deck they know, and then I believe played it at the RC to then qualify for the PT, and then had another good RC performance recently. Jake here on your right. They've also been having a lot of good success, especially here on the NRG series this last year. So 2 heaters battling it out in limited right now.
You'll have to see what they're going for. It looks like we've got a blue-black Orzhov deck going up against. Is it going to be Simic? No, we've got a bit of Sultai. No, we haven't. We got blue. No, green, white. I literally said the only color we don't have. We got red, we got black, we got green, we got white. We don't have any blue. Everything but blue. 4-color soup, so to speak.
Yeah, and you'll see this happen a lot in sealed formats too, right? Sometimes if you have a good enough fixing and you have like a bunch of just, rares and other colors, you'll just play 4 colors. I hope this is good enough. And sometimes it definitely is good enough. We talked about this before. Typically, sealed decks are pretty low synergy and lead to longer, grindier games. This set is designed with 4-player draft instead of 8-player draft in mind. So that is going to change up the dynamics a bit. But
how do you think that, you play the game a lot, you coach the game a lot, and you design a lot of games. You know what I mean? You're very involved when it comes to playing design. What are you thinking of this, like the smaller pod format, double card draft? I know this was like a format on Arena a couple of years ago that they were toying with. What do you think of it, and what's the pro of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the nice things is you just need less friends to make it work. That's the biggest thing to me, right?
Oh,
You
that
need
helps me
3
then.
people. Yeah, like 3 people to draft instead of 4 is just like, excuse me, 3 other people instead of 7 other people is a big difference, right? That's one of the nice things. It's just quicker too, right? Like less people, less time. And it's nice when you're into a smaller set to do something like this, because you just, it's harder to make the like robust synergies work, because we have Spider Girl here on your screen. But yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of advantages, a lot of disadvantages too, right? Like it's give and take in both regards. But I played a lot of pick 2 draft when it comes to like cubes, and like playing 4-person cube drafts, and it's totally fun, especially when the cube is built in mind for it. And I think the same is going to be said for limited here. And as Wizards does it more and more, they are very good at making limited formats. I bet we're going to see more and more great limited formats. As I believe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is also one of these sets, along with Avatar, or at least one of them is. I can't remember which.
See, a lot of people are excited about this Avatar. I've never watched Avatar.
I don't like Avatar, but don't clip that.
Whoa! Don't say it out loud. Jeez, I know it's something to do with some. It's a bold kid, I think, has got an arrow on his head or something. That's like as
He's
much
the
as I know
Avatar.
about it. Oh,
Yep.
we're such boomers. We're such boomers. Chat's going to tell us soon.
No, don't we us. Don't we us, Mr. I have a house. Okay. You're a
About...
boomer. I'm a millennial. Okay.
Fine. I'm
I hit
old.
my
Okay?
prime
I'm
and
old.
COVID happened. All right. We're not the same, buddy. You know.
Whoa.
As we are gonna see here.
All right, there's a lot of creatures on the board. It's 14 plays 16 here. I think this is what your the ideal board state you want to get to, right? I've got a bunch on the board. I've got a load of mana. I've got a grip for the cards. My opponent is down on every resource compared to me. I just want to try and turn this into a W here. Stop laughing at me, Mason.
Will goes, yeah, when you got a lot more cards than your opponent and you're ahead on everything, it's where you want to be. And that's why we love you here in the booth, Will. It's because you bring that scathing hot takes to the commentary.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No. You're totally right. You're totally right. You've nailed it here. As we are seeing Jake try to figure out how to navigate this spot, as Will has pointed out to you, Jess is ahead on every metric. They are crushing it.
No, I'm just saying maybe I could be in the expert seat once in a while.
No,
okay?
you want to swap here? I'll swap.
My expert opinion here on in this draft is.
Yeah, listen, when the Mickey Mouse Funhouse comes out, we'll tag around. But
I haven't pointed out, because I just looked at another screen where it's slightly clearer, that the Spider-Man card with the Union Jacks on it is on the.
Yeah, that's Spider-Man in the UK. Do you not know about that one?
I'm aware of that card, and I'm happy. I actually did do a little digging to see where the original art and who made it and if it's for sale, because I'm slightly patriotic. I feel like I would like this card in my collection.
Yeah, it's cool. I know a lot of people got really mad about like this one in India Spider-Man.
Someone got mad on the internet about some. Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's probably someone's favorite character, and if you're doing a set of only Spider-Man, it would be weird if you had all the other ones but not Spider-Man UK. You know what I mean? Like, I know not every Spider suit is in here, but give me a break.
Look, I'll take it.
Look through our deck.
What is this card to make us look through a deck? That's a good question. Let me see if I can find it.
It looks like Morpheus, but I don't think Morpheus does this, so I don't think it's actually Morpheus.
Is that the Sun Spider Nimble Webber? Oh,
it is. Nice.
Let's go. So this is during your turn. Sun Spider has flying. When it enters, search your library for an aura and equipment card, reveal it and put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So we've seen these effects quite a lot, but this is just it's strapped to a Spider-Man body 4-drop and dual color.
Yeah. And totally reasonable. Sun Spiders are pretty cool.
How would you find when you draft them in your sealed decks gaining advantage, right? Because this isn't a powerful format like modern and even standard legacy, etc., where you've got these powerful cards that work well together or individually. In here, we've really got to ink out that extra value when we can. A generic 2/2 that does nothing isn't going to be great on this. We look for those ETB effects, those things that generate an extra token with it, etc. How do you go about when you build your decks and prioritize other cards over some others? Because I need to learn. I need
yeah. I mean, it depends a lot on like the limited format, right? Like we saw in the last one how there seems to be a modified sub theme to some of these creatures, right? We saw that rare than blue white, and so even just having one or two pretty good equipments or auras, something like that. There's a lot of like pacifisms in limited, right? So being able to go and grab one of those could be pretty nice. It looks like there's a lot of cards in Jake's graveyard, maybe even milled over it. And I do see an equipment in play here. So even having one or maybe two good cards can be totally reasonable, especially if you're light on playables, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that happens in sealed sometimes is, you're a 3-color deck, you're stretching a little bit. Maybe you got a rare land instead of a rare, threat. And
or ley line.
Yeah, or a ley line. Yeah, I've definitely gone, to an event, open a ley line of the void or two, and been like, okay, well, got it for my modern collection, and I'm going to drop now. It's just like sometimes this happens. As we are going to see some discussion with the team here from Jess before we get the attack in.
That's something we haven't touched on. Obviously, this is a team event. Normally, you play by yourself. You can't have outside interference to help you out. But in team events, it's slightly different, right?
Yeah, totally. In these events, you can talk to your teammates and sort of discuss things. And I think what a lot of, the strong teams do is like, hey, we're all here together, and ask me a question if you really need the help, but I trust you, right? Because you've watched the game the whole way through. For Jess's game, though, Charlie's been done the entire time and has probably been watching and, playing along, etc. So seeing Jess sort of, on their own playing all those turns, kind of checked in with Charlie and was like, hey, I don't think there's anything that gets us here for one, a what, like, a white, but what do you think, right? And that's one of the nice things about limited is like, is there a combat trick I'm missing? Oh yeah, totally forgot about mighty leap or whatever. Great, good idea. Or if they have it, they have it. This is one of those nice things, especially in limited, where every little decision matters a ton. As pictures of Spider-Man seem to have been picked up.
It's kind of like why Twitch chat's so powerful, right? Because it's many eyes on one thing. If you only got a pair of yourself, well, most people have a pair of yourself. If you have your person next to you also helping you as well, that's lots of eyes. They can pick up things that's something that you missed, or think of cards that you're not playing around that you potentially could play around to some benefit moving forward. And that's what also you can give each other little digs here and there. But, oh, I don't believe you played that card. Oh, you played that land first. Yeah, that's how my team plays. We don't really help each other. We just keep giving each other insults all the way through. But it turned out we play a lot better that way.
I recently, one of my friends who used to play, I mean, he's been basically, he makes movies. He's been working on his first feature film, and he's the guy that got to like help me get good at Magic, etc. And we played a team event, and I like looked at him around. I'm like, the rules. I trust you, man. I know you haven't played in a while. Don't worry about it. And if you need the help, ask me, right? And the first hand he shows me is just 6 lands. I look him dead in the eyes and I go, I know you're not about to ask me to keep a 6-lander. And he goes, no, I was just wanting to ask how you're doing, as he shuffles his deck, as we do see Jess win there, and congratulations to that team, as they're now going to move on to 2-0. We are playing 6 rounds today, like we talked about before. So a great start. And Will, you told me this once, 2-0 after round 2 is the best way to start the tournament. And I have to agree. I've done the math.
You've got to have the buy round 1 into your round 2. Yeah, that's the best way to start a tournament.
Yeah, that is the
big brain it. But no, it's the key thing you want to do when you start tournament. Because it's only 6 rounds. 33% of the recurring is now happened. We've done that. And then we've just got to get potentially, I guess maybe a 4 wins is kind of the lockish sort of area we're after. I haven't done the math, but it's normally at 4. If you win out the first X rounds and the last 2, you can ID. But then, is that even going to be good in a team event? Like, if you came here to play Magic with your friends, you maybe want to play a couple of those last rounds. As it looks like we've got all our players sat down in the booth, so to speak. Congratulations at start off there on taking it down, winning round number 2. Key start to this weekend. My first question as always is, who did we decide who's going to sit in what seat coming into this weekend?
Well, I love limited, so it was very easy for me to take the Spider-Man sealed seat.
I was going to be in the standard seat for a very long time, and I'm still in the standard seat, but there was a moment there that I was in the modern seat. But I have a modern expert, Dom Harvey, here with me. And
I see. Now the team name makes so much more sense.
It's
I was going to ask. Yes, yeah. So we are going as Dom Harvey. Well, Dom, you're an amulet expert over here on the right, but you decided to play the Simic Birthing Ritual deck this weekend. So what made you want to do that instead of the Amulet Titan, as you were paired into it, master around it as, sort of the Amulet Master?
Yeah, that's me. I'm the Amulet Master. Yeah, I think Birthing Ritual is, I'm playing it because my friend Kamari, he recently qualified for the Pro Tour with it at Houston a couple weeks ago. And yeah, we just think the deck is really well positioned right now against, it's good at beating up on a bunch of the combo stuff like Amulet and Goryo's, while also being really good into the grindy matchup stuff like Blink, like both either Jeskai or Esper. And we just think it's really well positioned and consistent and has a lot of good interaction. So I'm really happy to be playing that. So.
Disproportionately at team events, the modern seat and just any seat is going to be pressured by your friends to bring a good deck. So it is less likely that you'll see one of the decks that we're a little bit more rough into, because your teammate's going to be like, I want an Amulet or a Jeskai Blink player in my middle seat. Why would I want someone on Affinity or Prowess or some random pile from the bottom of MTG Goldfish? So if you can control the meta that you think you're going to be facing, it's a lot better to be on a deck that can beat up on specific decks in a team event.
Sure.
So that's interesting. It's a metagame choice of what you expect. Everyone's going to be bringing the tier decks this weekend. It's almost like that's where you're going to pick. You're a modern expert. You're going to sit there. So with that in mind, how easy was it to pick up this Simic deck? Like, because I'm guessing this isn't your deck of choice. Also, we know you for Titan for years and years and years. Even when you used to live in the UK and battle against me at the local FNMs. But now you've moved across to Canada and you picked up the Simic deck. How are you finding that? Is it easy to play? Is it easy to pick up? Is it surprising you? Is it different lines that you haven't seen? You're like, oh, actually, I didn't realize we can do that. That seems pretty cool.
I'd say it's, at least personally, it's been one of the easier decks to pick up. I've been playing just like a bunch of it online over the past like 2 weeks since Houston, when like of course it performed amazing, and I wanted to be on it for this event. But I think a good amount and I have like a bunch of experience playing generally like fair decks, just mid-range piles, that kind of thing. So I think picking it up wasn't too bad. And if I also played against Amulet 10 Grand 1, so if I just continue to play against the combo decks through the event, then I'll be perfectly happy. I feel good about those matchups. So.
Sweet, we take them.
Okay, I have a question for Kamari. Kamari, once again, congratulations on qualifying for the Pro Tour, playing Birthing Ritual. We've asked a lot about it, but I'm going to bring my gripes. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Fibblethip. We have 2 Fibblethip in our deck. Where are our real Magic cards? Why do we have Fibblethip?
I would argue that if you're sitting across from this deck and you just got your 3 spells countered, and then a Birthing Ritual goes off and a Fibbleflip comes in and they say draw 2 cards, you would think Fibbleflip is very good and kind of busted. I think that what ends up happening is it has upside in the 2-drop slot, 100% if another card was printed with a little bit better upside. Like, I think even if we had 2 extra copies of Coiling Oracle, we would play them over Fibbleflip, just because it pitches to more things, and having the upside of ramping is a little bit better than drawing an extra card. Fibbleflip is usually the card that comes out the most, but in the deck, it fills the slot of making sure that your flares are turned on turn 2, and it also helps you grind through your deck a lot faster. And also, it is not to be completely ignored that it reduces Beseiju to 1 mana and Ottawara to 3. It is that is irrelevant.
I'm just going to say watch her for tomorrow. That's your free one for tomorrow's 10K when you play the deck. You know, go pick them up from NRG. And good luck in that event, as we do need to set up for our next round. So thank you all so much for hanging out. It was great to talk to you all, and good luck in the rest of the event. We hope to see you more later.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
We cut them off a little early. That wasn't me. Listen, I was dissing Fibblethip, but I'm not dissing that team.
You're the one with the button. Stop throwing everyone under the bus, Mason. That was 100% you. You're like, oh, I'm so done with this. I'm out of here. Jeez.
Let's just say it. And it's not just Fibblethip, that card. He's just so smug. He thinks he can go on all the merch. He thinks he can do what Loot was designed to do. I'm a Loot man. I'm Loot strong. Hashtag Team Loot. You know, I ain't for Fibblethip.
It makes people happy. Just let people be happy, Mason. Okay.
It's all let people like stuff until Universes Beyond comes around for old Will Hall here. I see how it is.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the Universe Beyond thing, but what we are going to do is we're going to wrap up round number 2 here, which means we are 33% done. We've got 4 more rounds, 6 rounds total before we get to that top 8, where we'll be having a draft, and of course the top 8 playing out to crown ourselves a championship team, because then they're going to find themselves straight to the end of the year championships as well, of course, getting themselves some of that sweet monies. But then tomorrow we're coming back again. We've got Sunday, we've got a modern 10K, modern all the way through. There's going to be no standard. There's going to be no sealed. We're going straight to the bane. We're putting that modern into our blood, and I'm looking forward to it. So make sure you hit that follow button on the channel if you haven't. Go follow us on the socials if you haven't done that as well, because the more support you have, if you join the stream, we need to support this company, this brand, all this live, because it's not cheap. We got to put it on. So the more people that see it, the better we can have production-wise, and maybe we can get Mason to smile one more time before we end this segment. So that's the end of round number 2. We'll be back shortly. Don't go anywhere.